eyes may be able to see, but without a heart, you cannot feel.
What's up, everybody? This is George C.O.C. Samuels, and you are tuning in to episode 107 of the It Will Come show. And today we're going to be looking at the role of sleep and chronotypes when it comes to productivity. So let's dive straight into it. All right. So the role of sleep and chronotypes in productivity. So this particular episode was influenced by a tweet I actually remember coming out about 2 years ago now. And it's crazy that this was 2 years ago because it feels like it was just like last year. But essentially there was a tweet that went out from Ariana Huffington of the Huffington Post to Elon Musk, essentially telling him to sleep better. Right, so she says, "Dear Elon, please change the way you work to be more in line with the science around how humans are most effective. You need it, yada, yada, yada." Then Elon Musk responds with, "Ford and Tesla are the only two American car companies to avoid going bust, to avoid bankruptcy. I just got home from the factory. You think this is an option? It is not." All right, so you have essentially two different styles here competing with one another. One saying that, sleep is very important. The other one being all about that hard work and just going all out. There is no rest. A very typical entrepreneurial hustle type of response. Whereas, Ariana Huffington, she is an entrepreneur, but a very different type or style. So today we're going to be looking at the science behind sleep. How much sleep do we need? Not getting enough sleep, getting too much sleep, when to sleep, introducing the chronotypes aspect, how to sleep better, and then a final tip. So let's have a look at the science behind sleep itself. All right. What if you could take a pill that improved your productivity at work? And what if the pill were free? All right. So we look here at the highlighted section. Mounting evidence suggests that a good night's sleep seriously boosts productivity. One study found significantly worse productivity, performance, and safety outcomes among those who slept less, an estimated $1,967 loss in productivity per worker due to poor sleep. Now, for those of you that are watching who are very much used to working hard, doing late hours, doing what you need to, looking at this, this might not be anything new, stuff that you haven't heard before, but it is also, of course, something that I think a lot more workplaces are trying to look into more. Now, what we're going to be kind of going over today is essentially the when part of all of this, because I think there's some misconceptions and general advice that goes around doesn't always apply for everybody. So I want to highlight that and talk about that. But either way, sleep is definitely an important part of general productivity. There was a TED Talk that is really interesting and I think definitely worth checking out as well, called The Science of Sleep and the Art of Productivity by Dr. Matthew Carter. So, just Google that up if you want to learn a little bit more about it. And then I highlighted this particular section of an article I found about Lebron James. So he famously invests 7 figures a year on his fitness and physical well-being, but the one thing James has come to appreciate more than anything is sleep. In James's hotel rooms on the road, the temperature is set to 68 to 70 degrees. Nearby electronics are shut off 30 to 45 minutes before he settles into bed. Now it's interesting, the temperature bit is not something that I've actually tried myself, but maybe I might look into that. And yep, electronics are shut down, and when that happens, a sleep app on his phone serenades him with the soothing sound of rain falling on leaves. Isn't that nice? As James said on a podcast with author efficiency expert Tim Ferriss, there's nothing more important than optimal REM sleep. So how much sleep do we need? According to this article from Healthline, if you look there at all the different ages, that gives you an idea of the type of hours we should be getting. So even for myself, and it's crazy, you look at 18 to 60, it's pretty much the same. So about 7 hours per night is what you need. And I can definitely confirm that I probably function better at around 7 versus the 8 hours of sleep, which is generally what's kind of given as a guideline to people. They say, oh yeah, you should get around 8 hours of sleep. But yeah, no need to be religious with that. If you're between the ages of 18 and 60, probably 7 hours are going to be a little bit better. Now, there is a thing around not getting enough sleep and then getting too much sleep. So when it comes to not getting enough sleep, here are some of the side effects of not getting enough sleep. And I know a lot of people who don't get enough sleep. I'm probably one of them, more often than not, but always working on it. And not getting enough sleep can lead to more long-term health consequences, including getting sick more often, high blood pressure, diabetes, heart disease, obesity, depression, etc. Now, that's probably assuming you're not doing any exercise. I think if you're doing some exercise, that should help with those things as well. Getting too much sleep. So some of the side effects of getting too much sleep. Now, this is when you sleep in and you still feel tired, or you still feel lethargic. That's when you know you've gotten too much sleep. You might be sleeping too much if you find yourself needing more than 8 to 9 hours on a regular basis. And then, naps might be a good solution for you there. So sleeping too much can lead to depression, irritability, and cardiovascular issues. So that's an interesting one. When should I go to sleep? So now this is where the sort of the heart of today's episode, right? The when aspect, because there's advice about like, okay, we know that we need to go to sleep and sleep better, but when, right? And I think the answer to this is, based on the research I've done over the years, is it has to do with sort of your type, your chronotype, right? So each of us have a particular type, and if you understand what type you are in terms of your chronotype, then it makes it easier for you to be able to sync up your sleeping patterns. Now you can imagine when it came to schooling days, right? Our school hours were all kind of just standardized. So obviously for some people, getting up for school didn't work so well compared to others, right? If your school day started at like 6 a.m. or something, which it did for me when I was growing up, because I did classes before school started, then yeah, that wasn't probably the best. But in order to standardize things and get some processes in, they take the average essentially, right? And put something in place. So here, for example, if you need to be up by 6 a.m., you should consider winding down before 11 p.m. So you just minus 7 hours. If you're in the ages of 18 to 60, you just subtract 7 hours from whenever it is that you need to be waking up every day. And another important part is actually sticking to the same times even on weekends. Now, for me, I've come in and out of this sort of habit. Sometimes I'm really good and my body will just wake up at the same time between 7 and 8. Other times, I might sleep in later. But it's one that, you just got to kind of constantly look at improving upon and observing. Now, there's this other great book by Michael Breus. I don't know if I'm saying his last name correctly, but The Power of When. Right. So we have Simon Sinek in a previous episode. We talked about what was the question? Start with why. And here we've got a book called The Power of When. Right. So you can see sort of like this pattern of different questions and different timings. It matters for different situations. But this book dives deeper into each of the chronotypes. So, what are the actual chronotypes? So there are 4 sleep chronotypes. They are dolphin, lion, bear, or wolf. And if you watch the previous episode where we were talking about digital clans and kinship systems, you notice how I talked about totems and animals. You got something similar happening here as well. Okay, so and it's just because it gives an easier way for us to be able to identify things, right? So dolphin, lion, bear, and wolf. The dolphins typically wake from sleep unrested, struggle with napping, and often tired throughout the day with a spurt of energy in the evening. Lions get up early with plenty of energy and are sharpest in the morning. They're often organized leaders. Bears tend to follow the typical night-day schedule and sleep well, though it might take them longer to get going in the morning. And then wolves are essentially night owls. They tend to be most active and alert in the early evening hours and are somewhat out of sync with the rest of the world. I probably put myself in the wolf category. And of course, if you've been following along with the It Will Come show, big fans of wolves. All right, now if we dive just specifically into each of these, the bears. So typically they'll go to bed around 11, wake up at 7, and then their focus times are 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. All right. Traits: happy-go-lucky, continuous flow of mellow energy, extroverted. Productivity tip: schedule meetings in the morning and try to finish up before late afternoon. Celebrity bears: Oprah Winfrey and founder of OWN. Oh, that's still Oprah Winfrey. Oprah, I think it's the OWN, Oprah Winfrey Network. That's what that is. Okay, the wolf. Okay, so their times typically go to bed at around midnight, wake up 7:30 a.m., and their focus is 5 p.m. to 12 a.m. I definitely will put myself in that category. Traits: introspective, highly creative, introverted. Although I'm not introverted. And then productivity tip: get ahead on work at home while you're feeling most awake. Celebrity wolf: Alexis Ohanian, co-founder Reddit. The lion: 15% of the population. So go to bed at 10 p.m., wake up 6 a.m., focus 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. Natural leaders, charismatic early risers. Productivity tip: know when it's quitting time and take time for yourself at the end of the day. Celebrity lion: Richard Branson, founder of Virgin Group. Finally, the dolphin: go to bed 11:30, wake up 6:30, focus 3 to 9 p.m. Traits: highly intelligent, scatterbrained, bursts of creative energy. Productivity tip: if needed, take breaks throughout the day to mentally reset and recharge. Celebrity dolphin: Jackson Pollock. All right, so how to sleep better. Getting the 8 hours of sleep that you need. So these are essentially tips, right, on how to get better sleep. And from even my own experiments with sleep, I think the most important thing I found is just consistency. So finding the exact time to go to sleep and then continuously hitting that. So avoid caffeine, heavy meals, and alcohol before bedtime. Keep a routine even on the weekends. Manage your stress. Avoid electronics in the bedroom. Ooh, that's a big one. Keep the bedroom cool and dark. And then try a white noise machine. Now the final tip, this is from me, essentially just write out your schedule. So there's definitely power when you put paper to pen or pen to paper. And when you do this, you're able to sort of just synthesize, your desires, right? What you want to be doing. You can track your sleeping patterns and times, whether it's in Notion or Evernote or on a piece of paper, to see sort of what your optimal is. Check your moods, etc. But what you see here on the right is actually a famous snapshot of Thomas Jefferson's schedule. So Thomas Jefferson had his own sort of daily schedule that he kept with him wherever he went in his journal, and he would keep to this. Now you can see here he was an early riser, 5 o'clock. All right, and then when he went to sleep, it looked like it was around 10 p.m. Okay, so around 10 p.m., 5 a.m. rise. So he would be put into the lion chronotype, and so what you just got to do is just readjust this for yourself. All right, but generally that outline can be useful and can be very powerful. And then I leave you with this final quote: it may be the early bird who catches the worm, but it's the night owl that catches the mouse, by S.R. Chappell. So this is just to show that the advice that goes around, a lot of people talk about and glorify the early bird, but you got to understand your type, know who you are, and then adjust accordingly. All right. So when you're able to identify that in terms of your types, especially when it comes to sleeping, hopefully this will help you to get into sync better, to know when to go to sleep and what's appropriate for you. And then, of course, hopefully that also helps improve your productivity. And as always, which chronotype are you, first of all? Feel free to comment below. Remember to like and subscribe. We'd love to know what your chronotype is, experiences that you've had. And as always, remember, let's see if we can get back. Through patience and persistence, it will come.
The eyes may be able to see, but without a heart, you cannot.